First of all, I'd like to welcome Slobby Robby to the Dana Cortez show because my husband is like, I watched every episode on Netflix. Hey!
Hey!
Well, he's like, which one's your husband?
This is my husband, DJ Automatic. He's like, damn, you're coming in with a shocking news. Slobby Robby, what you got going on? First of all, you look fabulous.
Oh, thank you. On the best for y'all.
Oh, Slobby Robby.
Not that early.
I thought I put my rings on. I'm like, nah.
No, this dude's looking extra fly today.
Man,
Like
for
I
sure.
said, I'm my own security when it's this early. So. You know what I mean? I had to be ready.
Get out of the shady apartment complex, ready to go.
So tell us what you're up to, though. I mean, obviously I've seen the Netflix show. I've watched all the episodes. I'm a big fan of. I tried to go by Generation Cool when I was in Tucson last time, but it was a Sunday and you were closed. So I have not been
Everybody
able to
needs
be
a
involved.
day
We're
off.
open 7 days a week, so
Well,
I don't know. You were either up too late or too early.
It might have been too early.
Yeah, no, there's nothing stirs down there until about noon.
So it was definitely before noon because I was
Oh
there
yeah,
on
no.
Fourth.
Yeah, no.
He's like, what are you doing?
In case you didn't notice, on 4th Avenue, not much going on before noon. More of a party street.
How did you get started in this whole thing? The shoe game, the Netflix, like what happened?
I got started from being a collector and wanting to look cool and wanting the stuff that I couldn't afford when I was a kid, to be honest with you. So when I was a kid, my neighbor 2 doors down, both his parents were doctors. And, I had an affinity for action figures and toys like a lot of kids now and in the 80s obviously had. But at the same time, I was into Nike and Jordan and a lot of this kind of like, I guess, early stages of streetwear, right? So I had stuff, and I worked my butt off and I did car washes but I didn't, my shoes had to last the whole school year.
Yeah. And your neighbor, he had all the good stuff, huh? 'Cause his parents.
He had, so let's just say when I still had the Jordan 3s heading into 4th grade, he already had the 4s, the and so not that there was some kind of like anger or bullying scenario that drove me, but I always sort of pined to be able to have some of this cool stuff that it was actually more about the collecting and the nostalgia and the fun of it than it's about the monetary value for me. I didn't want
It's
collection.
a feeling, right?
Sure.
It's a feeling when you have that on your body. I don't know what it is. You feel like a different person. Do you feel like when you get dressed up, is Slobby Robby is different than just regular Robby?
Well, that's a good question. I think with all of us, we're putting on some kind of a costume every day.
Right?
Yeah, right.
People like, I get people like, hey man, you going to a Halloween party? And it's like February, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm just going to Target.
For the record,
I'm on my way to Target,
That's
sir.
how everyone talks in Tucson, Arizona. That is literally how they all sound.
Yeah, well, I represent accurately. So, for me, expressing yourself artistically through the way you dress is something that everybody does, whether subconsciously, consciously, aware of it or not, and every single day, I started realizing that was what made things fun for me, or that's what made life fun for me in high school. That's what got me up at 6 for the 7:30 bell,
because you want to look fly, you want to get dressed,
Adidas
ready to go.
beanie and Adidas jumpsuit. All of a sudden, when other people were uncomfortable and cold in the morning, and I looked good,
Yeah.
and it wasn't about the ladies or and I didn't even know what clout was back then. It was for me, it was for me. So, fast forward to the early 2000s and all of a sudden I had made my own money, and there was this thing called the internet and eBay, and I started realizing that there was people who were into the same stuff as me. Even you go to websites, chat rooms, fan pages, and I'm like, oh wow, a He-Man fan page. Oh wow, AirJordans.com, where they show every Jordan ever colorway made in order, in year, and I'm learning. All of a sudden I'm realizing I had a passion for the history, the phases, the eras,
I was gonna say, you're not just a collector. You're not just somebody who flips stuff. You're a personality and an influencer in your own right. How do you feel about having that title? I mean, Kanye West is an influencer when it comes to fashion. A$AP Rocky, Slobby Robby, right? I mean, I'm saying it. I'm being real.
I feel good about it because I feel like if I've done anything, it's helped people be more comfortable with just being themselves. Okay, just do what you do. This is and I've had lots of young people tell me, "Hey, you made me feel comfortable wearing pajamas to school," or you made me feel comfortable, and you made me realize that I could just be me. Whether it's overweight kids to like just kids that are weirdos that don't fit into a category. I came from skateboarding, graffiti, hip hop, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, I was always more of a postmodern piece of art, which is, we're in an age where you be you, and you're going to use the pieces of culture and use the pieces that you're using a nice big broad palette of colors, whereas when I was a kid, you were either a skater or a preppy or such and such.
It's not like that
It's
anymore.
not like that anymore.
And I think I've been part of that, and I'm not going to take
definitely.
credit for a lot of things but one thing I will is individualism and the push of custom and one of a kind. And I think that's always been important, because I think when you're a kid, it can be, I
There's
had
so much
Jordache,
pressure.
right?
There's so much pressure to follow the herd.
Right. I had Jordache, and I had kids tell me, "Oh, that's Jordan's," and I'm like, "Cool, thanks."
What was your shoes?
I'm in second grade. I'm just trying to figure out how to wipe myself and wake up in the morning.
I had the McGregor Jordans. That's what I had.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, bro.
Yeah.
So we come from the same place,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm coming from poverty as much as I just I didn't care, but I know enough to know that I didn't want people talking to me like that and looking at me like that, and
Yeah.
it didn't last long.
Yeah.
So what's new now? I know you have the Generation Cool. I heard you're opening. Did you open a shoe store, or you have?
Yeah, so we took over the space right next door, and it's
Okay.
Generation
nice.
Cool Sneaks, and it's all sneakers, nothing else.
What kind of sneakers you got there? New stuff, old stuff? Like-
We do everything, but I, of course, like to refer to ourselves as retro-centric, and I think
love that.
anything I do is going to involve sort of a nostalgic and a vintage feel. So, of course, we're dealing with a lot of quote-unquote retros. We have a giant Nike sign in one window and a giant Adidas sign in the other, so that might tell you what kind of sneakers we do.
Have you noticed an
No Vans. I guess it's
No
there's
Vans
not a
in there.
van-
Don't come in
not
if you
a
want
van in
Vans.
sight.
Do you see an uptick in women who are looking for sneakers? Because I've never been that
That's when I knew
woman.
sneaker
Sure.
culture went to hell. Is
Sure.
when my wife wanted to buy
Oh,
the same
Boxy
sneakers
started
as
showing up.
me.
He's like, "What's happening here?"
So I would
just
say,
love them now. I'm like,
Oh my gosh! Across the board, 100% the biggest growth, even over young kids. If for sure women, and we're selling equal amount of women's shoes as we are men's.
How do you feel about this change in sneaker culture? Obviously, you've been a sneakerhead for a very long time. I've been one for a long time as well. How do you feel like, early 2000s versus what it is today? It's like, to me, it's completely two different worlds. It's not the same thing anymore.
Definitely not the same thing. I'm again, I'm not. I'm not a deity or a god, but I was kind of above all that anyway. I never was like, yo, I am a sneakerhead, And I remember meeting young women in my early 20s, and they're like, oh, you're a shoe guy. Oh, you're one of those weird guys
shoe
with
guy.
a bunch of shoes. And now they're like, oh, I need to get these. I need
yes,
these.
yes,
And
yes.
I'm like, oh, you weirdo.
My
Now
husband-
you're weird too.
DJ Automatic's closet has as much shoes. He has as many shoes as I do.
Sure.
He has another closet full of shoes.
Well, no, that was the joke. Oh, you have more shoes than me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, well, look at you. Look at you with your tight ass pants and your, and look at you with with your same old Vans, half cabs, or your whatever, and that's not that people shouldn't just do what feels natural and dress how they want, but yeah. I come from an era where it was different and
Yes,
it was
it
harder
was.
to find stuff. But I'm never one who's ever gonna sort of look down on the present and reflect on the past. I really don't.
I love that.
really don't
Amen.
appreciate
Amen.
anyone who's like, oh, well,
Well,
rap
it's-
rap
We
isn't
did
the
it
same.
better.
And I'm like,
We
and
did
I'm
it
like,
better.
Rap music has come to a place where someone can maybe get famous overnight and based on their skills,
Yeah.
I mean, Lil Dicky basically got a TV show off of one freestyle. If you really look back, So I mean,
And he's so talented and funny.
I digress, but come on, we're living in a great time when expression is free and easily accessible.
It's
and
a
if
sad
someone sucks,
world.
they suck. And if
Yeah.
you don't, maybe you're going to get the credit you deserve faster than you would.
It's a sad world that you think that your best days are behind you.
Oh
Well,
my
It's a-
gosh.
it's a
Couldn't
forward,
agree more.
baby.
The
It's
evolution of the
forward.
culture as well, though. So.
Sure. So there's been a big evolution. It's again, I like to say, jump the shark and gone mainstream, right? Just like vintage. People used to come in my store and say, "Wow, these clothes are used." And I'll say, well, not necessarily. We got some old Stussy with the
They're
tags.
sustainable.
Yeah, but now
That's all they
vintage is
want.
more valuable than quote unquote brand new. So a shift of consciousness, shift of understanding, and like you said, I think the key word evolution, right? So my kids are growing up in a world where they can wear some vintage. And my daughter calls it old school. She's 7. She's like, "This is the old school one." And I told her, "Yeah, that's the old school Harry Potter shirt. Baby. That's not the one everyone has. She has a shirt, Harry Otter."
Harry
It's the
Otter.
It's an old bootleg from the first movie. I'm like so proud.
it.
All the vintage cats. People come in the store and they're like, "Nice shirt."
Our
young
daughter,
lady."
same thing. She
She's
will
like
wear.
swagging around.
She wears DJ Automatics, Biggie, Tupac
Yeah.
T-shirt.
All my stuff from like the late
Sick.
90s, early 2000s.
Oh my gosh, she
it
wears it to school, and
all the kids at
Look.
school are like, where do you get
Where do
that?
you
Sure.
get that?
then
My
it was
dad's
fun.
closet.
No different than me in high school flexing back to my grandpa's tennis Adidas. So the Rod Lavers and the Stan Smiths that I was stealing from my grandpa's closet,
That's how it is,
and then
man.
all of a sudden people are like, "Whoa, what are those? They're not shell toes." And I'm like, "Bro, Stan Smith." And I didn't know who Stan Smith was, but I knew I had some
But I
Stan
knew-
Smiths on.
But they were popping at the time, though.
And they were also, what's interesting, people, you look at shell toes and whatever going mainstream now, you couldn't get shell toes in
You
the
couldn't find them at-
90s,
no, you couldn't go to Foot
especially out
Locker.
here in
I
Arizona.
know.
So I went
I know.
to Buffalo, and of course, I'm really good at making friends, right? So I
Yeah,
made
you
friends
are.
with the gal at Buffalo, and all of a sudden I knew when they had shell toes, and I had the black, the white, the gray, the all white,
Oh,
and they weren't the
everything.
mall ones, they were the OG ones. And I would trade in stuff, And my
I
mom,
love my
I remember my mom
shell-toe
saying, "Where's
Adidas."
all the money coming from? What's going on?" And I said, "Mom, I'm trading clothes. I know it sounds crazy, but Buffalo wants these Levi's and they're not paying."
You were so
dirt for
far
them."
ahead of the game.
Yeah,
You really are. Slobby Robby.
No, I think that, and I remember getting on eBay in the early 2000s being like, "Dang, why am I not buying extras when I go buy the shoes and putting them on this website?" But once you realize that your package comes and that the money really moves through the computer, I mean, that's a game changer. And there's still people having trouble with wrapping their head around that now with NFTs and crypto.
Oh, I know.
So I remember people go, "I don't trust eBay." And I'm like, well, I got some $800 shoes on my feet right now that make me trust eBay.
Yeah.
And my postman knows me. He puts it on the side. I was buying shoes in Europe in the early 2000s. And I think, like you said, back then it was more of a treasure hunt and less of a stock market-y online thing like it is now.
And it is, the only negative thing I see sometimes is that some certain kids like we talked about, the way we grew up, can't get their hands on some shoes because the price is driven up.
Yeah, but-
That's the only negative. But
when
But
I
it
was a
gives
kid,
you-
I couldn't get my hands
yeah,
on a
it
Carl
gives
Kanai
you
leather
an
jacket
idea,
either,
right?
or a
Oh,
Mercedes.
work harder for them shoes.
Yeah, it gives
Work
you
harder
something
for
to
the
work
shoes.
for.
Yeah.
Out of that too comes the next trends of things too, because it's those kids who don't have the means but have the passion for fashion, like
And they
Robbie
set the
and everybody
trends
else.
for
Yeah,
the
exactly.
new
Well,
era.
Hey, look, you gotta do you, right? So if you're, I think one time my mom said, "You have a Mercedes mind, with a Honda budget," in high school, and I said, "Yep." Yeah, and I've only driven Mercedes for the last 15 years.
no.
Since then.
So
I own 3 right now. So
you brought back a memory. I remember when I was little, I have to wear those Dickies, and everybody would make fun of me. And now Dickies are so
Ben Davis?
expensive.
no, Ben Davis is hard. Old Ben Davis is hard to come by.
When I was in high school, only the Cholos wore Ben Davis.
And now-
I was probably the only white kid who wore Ben Davis at my high school, but I had credibility.
Yeah.
I had markers and
Well-
fat laces, and I wasn't just showing up at the store to have it. I was there.
3 years ago, I was still broke, and Crocs.
Ben Davis.
Crocs are $40,
Yeah.
and now people wearing Crocs. So
Yeah.
you guys, I know we're all fashionable people here,
Again, another example. Actually, maybe the flip flop it. High fashion taking something that was mainstream fashion and turning
Absolutely.
it back on its head.
but yeah,
Absolutely.
And like they say, once the streets start wearing it, everybody
It's over.
wants it.
Because the
Right?
streets have always set the trends. I don't care.
Literally, right?
Every fashion couture line is influenced by the streets, and it always has been. Well, Slobby Robby, you figured that out a long time ago. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate
yeah.
you.
Thanks for
Best of
having
luck
me.
for everything. I'm glad you're here for the little people. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all. It sounds like you guys are part of the good team.
We are. Welcome to the team.
I'm here. Hey, I could come every Thursday if you need me.